During the orientation of my film appreciation class about a month ago, I was asked to list my three favorite films. And at the time, I came up with a pretty random list. I think I put A Clockwork Orange, My Dinner with Andre, and Dumbo, which is pretty much the three most random movies you could possibly imagine. So it got me thinking, what really are my three favorite films? And, you know, when you say favorite, I mean, that's a very personal thing. Like, you can't judge it based on just sheer filmmaking qualities. Like, to me, when you list a favorite film, it's like something that really touches you on a personal level, something that makes a significant impact on you. So, with that in mind, I think I came up with three that pretty much define my overall, I don't know, I don't want to say taste in movies, but just like my pantheon, if you will, I guess. I decided to take it from the three past decades: the 80s, which is the decade before I came into existence, and then the 90s, which was my childhood, and then the 2000s, or the noughts, or whatever you want to call it, which was my teenage upbringing, and now I'm 21, so yay! Let's collect this into one big retrospective, shall we? So, the film for the 80s, this is a very popular film on a lot of people's lists of best films. Very personal for a lot of people around my generation, maybe a little older than me in some cases, but the film I'm talking about is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, I don't really know what else I need to say about this film because it's just so high up there. I mean, everyone, you know, a lot of respected internet critics like Doug Walker and I don't know, I don't remember who else, but a lot of them have it way up in their favorite movies, and it's, you know, I mean, the thing is just, like, total fan service, and it's something that you'd never think would happen with Disney, which would just be just this total, like, almost orgy of different cartoon characters coming together and all kinds of offbeat jokes, and it's, you know, a very heartfelt story, simple detective noir, but handled very well, handled very heartfelt. You have Christopher Lloyd in one of his all-time freakiest performances, Bob Hoskins in probably one of his most memorable roles. The animation and the technology is just mind-blowing, I mean, even today. And, yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is just chock full of imagination, chock full of great, I mean, it's just a magical movie. So, going into the 90s, this is definitely a film that I just grew up with. It's Jurassic Park. Now, I know a lot of people think that Jurassic Park is simple, sort of popcorn affair. It's just a very good action movie. Well, I mean, I agree with that to a certain extent. I mean, it's not exactly the most intelligent movie ever made, but at the same time, I think it poses some very good ideas. I think the whole playing with God thing is handled very well. But more importantly, I mean, this film just shaped my creativity, shaped my... I mean, I remember, like, you know, I was like any other kid, I was really into dinosaurs for a time, so... Like, when I was 5 and 6, I would just beg my parents to watch this, and I think finally around the time I was 8 or 9, they let me watch it, and, I mean, you know, from the first time I saw it, I was just like, this is how I want to tell stories. I mean, the effects in this movie, to this day, I don't think that there's ever been a more seamless integration of CGI and puppetry and miniatures and everything else. I mean, like, you can't touch these effects. I mean, like the Avatar PS3 8 high quality showcase, like, get that shit out of here. Get those high quality, I mean, not high quality, high definition HD, you know, like PS3 graphics, which was all Avatar was. I mean, you know, I'm just so sick of filmmakers overusing CGI and thinking that it's impressive, because it's not. We get it. We get that we're looking at a computer-rendered thing. With Jurassic Park, I mean, those dinosaurs, I mean, definitely, granted, there's some shots that are better than others, of course, but for the most part, man, I mean, those dinosaurs just leap off the screen. And, I mean, I know it's not the most complicated story in the world. I know that the whole thing with Dr. Grant and the kids getting back to the museum and the climax, it's really, like, the second half is really just a typical sort of survival flick. But I like that. I like how it starts out with just this wide open, like, sort of wonder and, like, oh my god, like, you get really sucked into the idea of Jurassic Park thanks to John Hammond. And then, of course, throughout the second half, it just unravels itself. And I think one of the most controversial things about the Jurassic Park movies is Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm. I definitely see why people were pissed off at him about The Lost World, because that movie is just a total piece of shit. But I've got to admit, Ian Malcolm in the first Jurassic Park, to me, is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. And actually, one of the few complaints I have about that movie is that Malcolm kind of drops off the face of the earth 2/3 of the way through it. But, I don't know, there's something about his logic and his neuroticism that's just so endearing to me. But anyways, enough about Jurassic Park, but, it was just a flagship in my childhood, and it definitely shaped the way I kind of imagine things and kind of tell stories now, so... but the third movie is definitely going to be controversial. I mean, get ready to grab your torch and pitchforks, because I'd say my third favorite movie is actually a very recent movie, only about a year old, The Social Network. Don't kill me. This movie is fucking perfect. And I say that because, like, I mean, I was very disenfranchised with movies in general for a period of time. Like, I got more into music and less into movies more and more. And then The Social Network came along. I mean, The Social Network and Inception, really, but I'll get to Inception later. I think I'll make a whole video about my thoughts on that movie. But The Social Network especially, that movie, when it came out back in October 2010, it really sparked something in me. It reinvigorated my creativity. It made me want to pursue something. It made me really want to do something great with my life. And I don't know, it's just, for a movie to have that kind of an effect on you, that kind of an inspiring effect, and it's just, oh god. You see, I'm the type of person that will buy a movie on DVD and watch it 5 billion times, just because that's just sort of the neurotic personality that I am. But the thing about The Social Network is that I've seen it on DVD probably upwards of 15-20 times, and I really, every time I watch that film, and this is just so not the case with pretty much every other film, including stuff like Jurassic Park, where I cannot think of one thing that you can change about the way that they told the story in The Social Network. One thing. Everything in that movie is perfect. The acting is perfect. It's perfectly cast. Jesse Eisenberg delivers one of the most layered and nuanced performances, like, of the past decade, because it's one of those performances where the first time you see it, like, I kind of jumped on the bandwagon with everyone else, where I was like, gee, this kid's, it's pretty much a character assassination as Zuckerberg. But the performance is just so layered that it's like, the more you watch the movie, I mean, Eisenberg's performance really is the drawing point of that movie, because the more you watch it, the more sympathetic Zuckerberg becomes, I think. I think the only real antagonist of the film is Sean Parker, and even he's kind of debatable, because he does have his sympathetic qualities to him, and he's the one that really got Facebook off the ground, in spite of Eduardo being screwed out of it in the whole deal. And Sean Parker, I mean, like, Justin Timberlake, to me, has really impressed me with his acting skills as opposed to his singing skills. And I think his Sean Parker character was just definitely the highlight of his acting career so far, and I can't wait to see where he goes from there. This movie made a star out of Andrew Garfield, who's obviously going to be in The Amazing Spider-Man this summer. And I thought the way that they handled the Winklevoss twins was just I think the Winklevoss twins in The Social Network really hold up the story. I mean, I think they're so sympathetic, yet the thing that's ingenious about The Social Network is how that movie doesn't take sides at all. It's like, this is what happened. There's no real good person or bad person. I mean, the Winklevoss twins, they're definitely snobbish and set in their ways, but, they do have a good case against Zuckerberg. So I don't want to get into all that, but I think I've been rambling on enough. I know that The Social Network is a controversial pick for one of my all-time favorite movies, but I mean, you got to understand, the thing that sparked in me after I saw that movie, I just think it's an inspiring movie, just in terms of how you can tell a story and in terms of the message it brings out. So, my 3 favorite movies, I mean, this is sort of a list that, sort of just jumps around all the time, but I'd say Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Jurassic Park, and The Social Network at this point in time are pretty much the 3 that really stick out as having an impact on me, and just I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling on, so I'm just going to cut this video off. I'll definitely have a lot more content for you guys. I hope I can, I mean, I'm just kind of experimenting with this. My new laptop came with a webcam, so let's go. I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel for a while now, so let's do it. I hope you guys like this, and I had fun talking about my 3 favorite movies, and I'll just do more random shit like this to just start out my channel, just sort of random pop culture ranting for a while, and we'll see where it goes.